Today we're gonna see if we can build a hard lock prison deck that makes it so we can never die to damage, but in standard. Alright, so here is our ridiculous standard hard lock prison deck, and this is one of the jankiest decks I've built in a really long time, but the idea is to actually bring a hard lock prison deck to standard. So what are we trying to do with this deck? Well, combo piece number one, Living Conundrum. So Living Conundrum, it's basically the bad Laboratory Maniac. It's a 5 mana, 2/5 hexproof elemental. This says if we draw a card with no cards in our library, we get to skip that draw. So basically we don't die to milling out. And then if there's no cards in our library, it becomes a 10/10 flying vigilant, still hexproof creature. So the idea of our deck is to use Living Conundrum in conjunction with Angel of Suffering to make a hard lock so we can never die to damage. So Angel of Suffering has some really weird text. If damage would be dealt to us, instead that damage is prevented and we mill twice that many cards. So you probably see where this is going. If we can get a Living Conundrum on the battlefield and an Angel of Suffering on the battlefield and keep them both on the battlefield, all damage we take is converted to mill, but we can't actually die to milling out because of Living Conundrum. So once our library runs out of cards, all of our Living Conundrums become these massive flyers. We kill our opponent in one attack and win the game. So the challenge of this is keeping both of our combo pieces on the battlefield. Living Conundrum isn't too bad since it has hexproof, which means pretty much only wraths are going to kill it. Angel of Suffering, on the other hand, kinda dies to everything. It's just a 5/3 flyer. So we need some way to try to protect this because we want this to be a hard lock that keeps us alive forever. So how do we keep Angel of Suffering on the battlefield? And the answer is another super janky card, Lost in the Maze. So Lost in the Maze is this weird double blue and X enchantment with flash. When it ETBs, we can tap X target creatures, put a stun counter on each of those creatures we don't control, and then tap creatures we control have hexproof. So you probably see where this is going. If we have a tapped Angel of Suffering and a Lost in the Maze, now our Angel of Suffering has hexproof, our Living Conundrum always has hexproof, so as long as our opponent can't wrath our board, they can't interact with our combo with targeted removal, and then we can just never die to damage. So the last piece of the puzzle is weird blue draft chaff tapping removal spells like Weakstone Subjugation and Bitter Chill. So these cards just tap down a creature forever, and normally you'd use them on your opponent's creatures, and we do sometimes use them on our opponent's creatures as removal, but what we're really trying to do is get one of these cards on our Angel of Suffering with the Lost in the Maze out, so now our Angel of Suffering will never untap, which means we never get to deal damage with it, but that's fine. We don't really care about dealing damage with it. We care about just keeping it on the battlefield, but since it's always tapped, it'll always have hexproof, so now we have a hexproof Angel of Suffering, a hexproof Living Conundrum, so as long as our opponent doesn't have a wrath, and if they do have a wrath, we can just negate it, we essentially never die. So we just sit there and do nothing as our opponent attacks us, and eventually we're going to run out of cards, or our opponent will run out of cards and mill out. Once we run out of cards, our Living Conundrum becomes a 10/10 vigilant flyer, and we just swing in with our conundrums and win the game with a couple of attacks, or if we have to, wait until our opponent mills out. So that is the goal of the deck. Like I said, it is incredibly janky, but when it works, we actually just hard lock ourselves out of ever dying to damage in standard. Otherwise, Demonic Bargain, one of the cutest cards in this deck, it's a tutor that makes us exile the top 13 cards of our deck, which is supposed to be a drawback, but is actually kind of an upside. There's some games where you play a Living Conundrum and just chain the Demonic Bargain into Demonic Bargain to exile our entire deck, turn Conundrum into a 10/10, killing in 1 or 2 attacks. Otherwise, we get a bunch of removal and ramp to help us stay alive and get our combo pieces on the battlefield. Mana base, pretty typical stuff, a couple of channel lands, a bunch of dual lands, and that is Suffering Conundrum Prison, or Suffering Conundrum Lock for standard. That's our Against the Odds deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see if it's actually possible to hard lock our opponents from ever killing us with damage in standard. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. We've got new tokens and playmats, and you can even get the tokens signed if you want. Check them all out over at mtggoldfishmerch.com. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. It is standard prison Living Conundrum time, and we need one more land for Celestis. We got double Angel of Suffering, no Living Conundrum yet, but this seems like a reasonable hand. See what our opponent's up to. Oh god, Triumph. All right. Yeah. Oh. Okay. We're mostly scared of control decks and wrath decks. Oh god, Courier's Briefcase. Wrath decks are very scary. Because the whole goal of this is we need to protect Angel of Suffering, and we also need Living Conundrum to live. Living Conundrum naturally has Hexproof. We're trying to, oh boy, do we have to counter this? I think so. Our opponent even spent their Courier's Briefcase, so that slows them down quite a bit. So Wrath decks are really brutal against this deck. TLDR, well, I guess we play the dual land. Get down the Celestis. So we can ramp out an Angel. We can't really protect it. We do have 2, so it might be worth running out. No. You know what's really good? If you ever want an enjoyable 4 minutes, look up a Weird Al polka. There's some. I unironically think Weird Al is very funny, and his polkas are like some of my favorite. But his song parodies are pretty funny, but the ones where he's just like, I'm gonna put a bunch of popular songs to polka, so good. Well, let's get back to playing Magic. Weird Al aside. So we get to loot with Celestis. We're probably going to discard this cut down. Like, it could kill the token, but I don't think we care about killing that token. If we die to that token, we're not going to win this game anyway. And our opponent, all their real threats are uncut downable. So yeah, let's get rid of the cut down. More Celestai. Well, we can get rid of that in the future. I mean, we got 2 Angels. We're going to run one out. Odds of it living, probably not super high, but it is a 5-power flyer. 4-turn clock, all by itself. Opponent going to Mirix. I mean, if our opponent just stumbles around and can't kill the Angel, you know, they're looking at the Angel. That's bad news. Opponent. We're just, ossification. We're just trying to lock you out of the game, opponent. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Opponent hits us. Down to 17. So we wasted 1 Angel. We don't really... Nervous to run out the second one. Because if it dies, we do nothing. But I guess our only other option is Celestis. Day and night. Discard a Celestis. I think we got to play the Tuara. There's some argument to holding it to try to bounce the ossification, like in response to a big attack. But I think at this point, hitting our land drop is more important. Cannot get away from these cut downs. Well, discard the cut down. I feel like this is a tricky matchup. Opponent gonna do some stomping. I mean, 7's kind of the big number, right? 7's Atraxa, Tally, Breach the Multiverse, all the biggest, baddest payoffs. Well, let's untap. All right. I mean, I guess if we just keep drawing Angels of Suffering, we'll just keep casting them for now. We only really need 1 to stick. We don't have the Living Conundrum yet anyway. So many ossifications. Yep. There goes Angel number 2. And even more topiary stomping. This is getting bad. Our opponent can start attacking with Stompers, so we're taking 6. Now we might have to just desperately run out the Angel. Let's discard a Go for the throw. Ooh, there's a Lost in the Mist. Okay, that's actually huge. Oh, so we need to find the Conundrum. We need to find the Living Conundrum, but we actually kind of have a chance here. So let's loot. That might be able to help us find a Living Conundrum. So what we can do here is we can Lost in the Mist to tap everything down. And that's one of our combo pieces with Angel. Now we just got to get Angel tapped, which we can do with the Bitter Chill. So let's tap down the board. I still feel like this is a tough matchup because we're doing all this work and the setup protects us from targeted removal. But if our opponent has a sweeper, okay, a Tally, Unlicensed Terse, and Lost in the Maze. Okay. Well, I mean, we gotta find Living Conundrum. And now we can't do it with Take Numa because of the Unlicensors. Or we can't easily do it with Take Numa. Let's discard one of the Angels. I mean, we're just gonna Angel lock. Our opponent's gonna mill us for 14. Oh, that's a Conundrum though. We actually have a shot here. Okay, Angel of Suffering. Our opponent is completely empty-handed. I mean, we need to find a negate eventually because they will, I think, find a Sunfall sooner or later. But we Angel of Suffering. We tap it down with Bitter Chill. So it's always hexproof because of Lost in the Maze. And this is the combo. It is one of the jankiest combos I think I've ever built. We're going to hold on to the Take Numa just in case. We might be able to get value out of it. But we found the Living Conundrum, so we can just take this hit, mill 14, play the Living Conundrum, and then we're kind of good. How do we lose from here? One is our opponent finds a sweeper before we find the gate. Can't really do anything about that. The other is, I guess, multiple removal spells. If they can, like, remove the Lost in the Maze, and then they can target the Angel again. Well, mill 14, down to 24, which is fine. Getting milled is a good thing. It's a positive because we have Living Conundrum. Well, we get to Celestis. Might as well loot. Oh, maybe we just pitch the Technuma now. Yeah, it might be necessary to tap down a tally at some point. We draw another land. I mean, we're about to assemble the log, Living Conundrum. So Hexproof Angel, Hexproof Living Conundrum. If you damage us, all you're gonna do is eventually grow our Living Conundrum. So now we just need to find a way to not get wrathed, basically, which is basically find a negate. Well, now taking damage is good though, because the more damage we take, the more we're milled, the quicker our Living Conundrum becomes a 10/10 Vigilant Flyer. Oh, Leyline Binding, that's a good draw. Okay, there goes our maze. No, well, GG. They were empty-handed too. 2 removal spells in a row. Magic gods. It is Hardlock Standard Prison time. We are putting our opponent into a conundrum, a living conundrum with Angel of Suffering, and that sounds good. We don't have the Angel yet, but we do have the conundrums. When I initially built this deck, it did not have the mana rocks, and it was just too slow. Being built around 2 5-drops is kind of clunky, and if you're playing the first one on turn 5, plus remember, oh boy, Toxic. Well, the good news is, Toxic does require dealing damage, so the Angel Lock still will stop the Toxic kill. Can we get it set up? They also shouldn't be super removal heavy, which is good. Some decks just struggle to kill Angel naturally, so even if we don't hexproof it, it's pretty good. Well, all right, crawled for 1. Jawbone Duelist. Well, there's the Angel. I think this is enough that we just Wrath. So we Wrath here to mostly reset the board. Then we can Conundrum into Angel. And then we just need a way to make Angel hexproof. And I don't think this deck is going to be able to break out of that. There's a Skrelv. Up to 2 poison. More Crawling Choruses. Well, cut down's decent. But I think we first Conundrum. If we cut down, we can't do anything else, and we don't want to let that amount of mana go to waste. So he can keep smashing us with one thing, thanks to Skrelv. But we can't answer the Skrelv in the future. All right, Skrelv's Hive. And opponent, yep, going to give it hexproof blue or whatever, get in, hit us, sure, up to 4. Well, let's cut down the Skrelv. This is gonna, yeah. We don't want to go up to 6, I don't think. This is still awkward. We drew the fast land, yeah, so we can't also play something else, but going up to 6, the problem is proliferate, basically. That's a way that we can die through Angel. Angel only prevents damage, which does prevent Toxic, but does not stop our opponent from just proliferating the poison counters. Up to 5. Well, play the land. I think we just Conundrum 2. We're going to keep waiting. Like, we could draw Negate. We could draw Lost in the Maze. There's things we could draw that'll help us protect the Angel. Plus, the Conundrums are pretty good blockers here. They got big butts. I tried to find, like, a sweet ore to put on them. Didn't really find anything too spicy. Goes attacking. Well, we will block. We're going to keep killing the mites, even though they keep coming back, just because if we kill the Crawling Chorus, they get another mite anyway. We're just trying to minimize the amount of Toxic we take. Up to 6. Well, I think we got to do it. We got to do it and just hope they don't have it. Angel of Suffering. So they could have the counter. They could have removal. Although this isn't a super removal heavy deck, so maybe we're okay. Living Conundrum doesn't... all right, Serum Snare, at least they don't get to proliferate. That's kind of fine. So we're going to take 1 more Toxic, or 1 more Poison, so we're going to be at 7. Well, block and block. Skrelv's Hive and Mirrors are doing some work for our opponent. They're going to slip out the back a token. I mean, they're down to 1 card. They're down to 1 card. This Angel does save us if we can get it to stick. Well, okay, cut down's not the worst. Run out the Angel. Gonna keep holding this land for bluffing purposes. Yeah, Living Conundrum is kind of funny. We can't really chip in for damage with it because it doesn't get vigilance until our library's empty. All right, opponent. Might. And a Crawling Correspondent goes attacking. Well, we will take the beats this turn. As long as the Angel sticks. Now we don't mind getting milled. So opponent mills us a bunch, but that's fine. If they ever mill our library, it turns on the Living Conundrums, and then we're just good. All right, Raffine's Tower. Cycle it. Okay. Well, in the future, this could be good. If we can find Lost in the Maze. I don't really want to attack with the Angel because of a Ganjo. Testing this deck, I got by an Aganjo being greedy with Angel attack, so now I'm very afraid to attack into into open white mana. The Angel, up to 8. Oh, maybe we have to start attacking just because the proliferate problem. We're not gonna die to the mites as long as our Angel sticks, but they will eventually just proliferate us out. They probably should focus on that. Please mill us. Yes, pump. Pump, opponent, pump. I don't know if our opponent realizes they're killing themselves here. Like, yes, mill away. Down to 14 cards. Like, oh, that's a negate. That's huge. No attacks. We're going to pass. Opponent's Grelv Sives. I don't know if our opponent realizes that their best bet here is to stop attacking until they find an answer to the Angel. Because if they just keep attacking, they're going to mill the rest of our cards. And then the Conundrums are going to one-shot opponent. That looks like enough to... No, you're going to pump too? Opponent, read the... There is a lot of text on Living Conundrum. Apparently our opponent is just not read far enough. Okay, they mill our entire deck. But now we have two 10/10 flyers. Like, you can kill the Angel now if you want. Sure, Serum Snare. Man, the funny thing is if our opponent was bouncing Iron Crag instead, they might have been able to just proliferate us out. And, well... Honestly, that was more our opponent killing themselves than us killing them. Like, we got the lock mostly set up, but our opponent just kept attacking and milled our deck, and then the 10/10s. One turn with the Conundrum. It is Living Conundrum time. Playing some more Angel of Suffering, Living Conundrum Prison, I guess, in Standard. Teething Wormlet. All right, so opponent Artifact deck. This hand, pretty good. Double Iron Crag's awkward, but... maybe we draw some lands. We do have Conundrum. Oh, that's a land. So we have Conundrum and Angel. Can we even afford to Iron Crag this turn? We probably gotta kill something. Actually, how bad can it be? I guess we can take like 7, maybe 6, something like that. We'll see. Ugh, Ozolith. Okay, that's about the worst case scenario. So we're taking 7 down to 12. Play the land. I mean, we can answer both things. So I think we like stop the Brawler and then go for the Throat the Worm. All right. I mean, we are a land away from playing our things. Maybe, opponent. We don't have any protection yet, but our opponent's deck might not be that removal heavy. Quirion Beast Kala and Lunarch Veteran. Sure. I mean, that Brawler's getting huge, but it's, ooh. Yeah, let's just do this. Blow them all up. We can't do anything else this turn anyway, since we're missing our 5th manas. That is the problem with this deck, is it's built around 2 5-drops. It is tough. My goodness. Yo. Well, our hand is a Conundrum, literally. Wow, at least our opponent couldn't grow the Brawler this turn. Thank the magic gods. All right. Well, I think we just got to YOLO the Angel here. Wait, can we play Conundrum? How bad? We're at 8. Yeah, we have to. We got to run it out. There's 2 I have a chance of dying. No removal. If they have removal, it's pretty much game. If they don't have removal, okay, Wormlet, that's fine. Grow them? Yeah, that is perfectly fine. Sure. Mill us all you want, opponent. We have Conundrum Tron in hand. We will take the 5. Just kidding. We'll mill 10. Path of Peril. That might actually be better than the Conundrum here. Blow up your stuff. We keep our Angel. And I guess it's beatdown time. Yeah, hit you for 5. Now we are Angel of Suffering aggro. And another Dissonant. Sure. Well, there's a Conundrum. And smack you with an Angel. If they don't draw removal, we might actually just... Ooh, Thousand Moon Smithy. We might actually just win with the Angel before they mill us and turn on the Conundrums. About it. Grows the Dorks. We will mill 10. Thank you very much. Gets in with the Dissonant. Wow, another Angel. Well, I guess we play that to have a backup. Go 5/3 flyer, I guess. Well, this isn't exactly how we drew it up, but sometimes you just like attack with the 5/3s. Opponent plays a blocker. Oh, this should be game, right? Opponent mills us. Is this enough? Oh, it's not quite. We're 2. Hey, okay. 2 cards short, Cycling Land, no cards, grow it to a 10/10, swing with the crew, and, well, that wasn't like a huge prison-y lock, but it worked. So many opponents just keep attacking and mill us. Stop attacking. You're doing it to yourselves, opponents. Seriously, if they stop attacking, they don't turn on the Living Conundrum, and that's going to go much better for them, but we'll take it. All right, we're up against Mark Posewater, playing some Living Conundrum, Angel of Suffering, Prison, I guess, lock, combo. I don't know, we're playing one of the jankiest, the jankiest prison decks I've ever built. Bone it. Ooh, mono green, maybe. I could be Gruul, could be like a modified deck. I guess we just play a Surveil Land? Gate, yeah, I think we mill it. We do like negate to protect our angel, but opponent grows the adapted, gets in, hits us. Well, let's start the Great Happening. Let's subjugate the 2/2 and play the tap land past the turn. So what is our opponent's payoff? It definitely looks like mono green. Oh, that's actually super bad for us. All right. Tribute to the World Tree. I mean, that doesn't like disrupt our combo or anything, but it is going to draw our opponent an absurd amount of cards. Yeah, we can't really get it off the battlefield, so I guess we have one Atwara, but odds of us actually getting rid of the tribute, pretty low. Odds of us tapping down your stuff, though, apparently very high. Opponent has a Bloated Contaminator. 4/4s in standard just make me sad. Like, Bloated Contaminator should be a good card. It's just not. It's just not. One thing that would be interesting, I don't know if this would be good or bad, but I kind of want to see a 1-mana mana dork in standard. I know standard is so silical. Silical? Yeah, silical. It's so silical that a few years ago, green was like the dominant color. Do we have to play the angel here? So Doomscar is gonna draw, but it only draws creatures. Yeah, let's play the Conundrum. A few years ago, green was like clearly the best color in standard, not even close. And then now green is clearly the worst color in standard, not even close. I think a 1-mana mana dork would greatly improve it. Like, having your powerful 3-drop, Sentinel or Bloated Contaminator, coming down on turn 2, that would be very, very, very strong. I think it might be necessary. Because the problem green has, I think the biggest problem, is it just gets wrecked by, like, Sunfalls. Like, its protection from Sunfall, its protection from Rest don't work against Sunfall and Farewell. It's indestructible style stuff. It just doesn't do anything. So green doesn't have the protection that works against the power creepy Wraths. So I feel like it just needs to be faster. At the same time, maybe having, like, an Elvish Mystic or Llanowar Elves in the format would just break things. Well, combo assembled. Opponent, you're mono green. You are drawing a ton of cards. Can you just not have removal? If they have removal, oh, they're looking at the angel. Tail swipe. Well, we were pretty all in on that angel with the Conundrum, hoping our opponent didn't have removal. I mean, angel does die a lot. That's why we're playing all these janky cards to protect it. Yeah, opponent's just snowballing the tribute. I think we have to trade. Yeah, tail swipe. Mono green. Mono green with a removal spell. Well, we have to draw an angel, I guess. Angel or a Wrath. It might actually just be a Wrath. We might, well, I think angel would keep us alive for a turn. Definitely not a swamp. Well, maybe green's back. Conundrum combo time. Playing some Angel of Suffering, Living Conundrum, Prison? Lock? Something like that. Oh god, more green. Ooh, Demonic Bargain. We're gonna have to mill it here, but Demonic Bargain is really cute in this deck. It finds our combo pieces and it helps empty our library once we have a Living Conundrum. There's no way we played mono green again. Really? No. Oh, okay, it's a ramp deck. That makes more sense. Glimpse the Core. Opponent grabs a forest. Well, let's play the fast land and the Iron Crag. We're doing a nice job of ramping this game. We have the Celestis too. And we have a negate to protect the angel. Topiary stomping. Well, opponent is doing a good job of ramping. Turn 2 ramp, turn 3 ramp. Gruul. They're probably ramping into what, a Tally? Well, play the tap land. I think we got a Celestis. We're shields down with the negate, but I don't imagine negate's going to be very important against what our opponent's doing. I imagine that if they do their thing, it's going to involve a creature. All right, Topiary Stomper again. Grabs a mountain again. Ooh, okay. Lost in the Maze is good. We can't negate an Itali, which could come down this turn. Do we play the Angel and just risk it? Maybe we just play the Conundrum first. Let's play the Conundrum. Conundrum's a pretty good blocker against Stompers if they can turn them on. We would like one more mana. Ooh, Carnosaur. Well, and the Festivities doesn't do anything against us. Wow, that's a land. Okay, that's good. Now we can at least play the Angel and leave up a negate, which is protection. And now the last piece of the puzzle for the lock is we need the Lost in the Maze, and we need to keep the Angel tapped. We need to spend a removal spell on our own Angel to achieve our... The concept of this deck is so jank. Storm the Festival. You know what? I think we're going to spend the negate. We can't counter what they spin into. I don't know what they could spin into that kills the Angel, but gonna hit us for 7? Gonna hit us for 7? Aw. Instead, we will mill 14, which is actually an upside. We want the Angel to be tapped because now we can protect it with the Maze. I guess we can activate the Celestis. We don't really care about tapping our opponent's stuff down. We want to get milled out now. Another Lost in the Maze. Get rid of the Celestis. I mean, we could tap down the Carnosaur, but we don't really need to. We can just flash in the Maze to protect our Angel. Goes it. Ooh, we're going to mill so many cards. Does this mill everything? Did our opponent just kill themselves? So many people kill them. Oh my God. One card? Yeah, they... I don't think anyone reads what we're doing. Okay, Dracosaur. So our opponent has a blocker, but it doesn't really work because we have Lost in the Maze. Our opponent's helping us by milling our deck. That's our last card. Conundrum becomes a 10-10. Now all we got to do is Lost in the Maze is Dracosaur, and I think we're good. Like, even if they have removal, we can flash in the other Lost in the Maze, tap it down, and 15 ya? You kind of did that to yourself, opponent. You kind of... No one knows not to attack against it. They just keep doing it. We got both of our combo pieces and a negate and a ramp spell. This hand is, this hand is kind of what we want. Although, yeah, Demonic Bargain to the graveyard. Although Dimir seems like a tricky matchup. Schwamp. They got a lot of removal into pretty fast clock. Fast clock, not much removal's good. Bunch of removal, but no clock. Actually, control's like our toughest matchup. We really want decks that are trying to like play a bunch of creatures and attack us. We're gonna play a Celestis and might get countered. How about just letting it go, opponent? All right. Opponent makes it disappear. And, well, Preacher of the Schism. That's awkward. So I guess we have to play the island and, the worst 4 mana to tap it down. But at least our opponent doesn't start drawing cards. And, Gix, okay. Hey, let's do it again. Subjugate the Gix and play the tap land. Our opponent has a couple of good threats, but thankfully they're tapped at the moment. I got a feeling we're going to have to just... another Preacher. Come on now. Too much preaching. I get a feeling we're going to just have to slam this Angel and hope for the best. We don't have to yet, but we got to play something. Let's... Can we not counter this opponent? Hey, all right, so Conundrum down. The problem here is opponent still has a Gix and they have this Preacher, so they're just gonna draw a ton of cards. And as they draw a ton of cards, they're gonna find a way to, oh boy, even more Gixes. Opponent gets in, double triggers, makes a token, hits us, we can't block because the Preacher's a really good card, isn't it? That Death Touch. Our living Conundrum is useless, and a bat too. Yeah, we need to draw Wrath. We need to draw Wrath. That's basically it. We need to draw Path of Peril. We're gonna pass and probably die. Well, okay, just a little attack. That's fine. We can accept an attack for 2. That's not the end of the world. Opponent hits us down to 15. Triggers, and Spyglass Siren, sure. And cracks the map on the bat. Eklazats. These negates are kind of a necessary evil, but they're not looking good at the moment. Land. I mean, basically we're sticking around because in theory, Path of Peril could get us out of this. In practice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In practice, I don't know if it'll even work. Yeah, opponent's gonna push with the crew. I don't think it really matters what we do here. Yeah, whatever. Opponent. Yeah, this Gix is just popping off. If I was our opponent, I'd be tempted to just activate the Gix. Although, we're playing Living Conundrum, so our opponent might not want our cards. But they could, like, it would probably work out poorly for them because our deck is so bad. And they're just going to hit a bunch of jank. But it would be pretty tempting to just, like, pitch everything and steal the top whatever, yeah. It's a bunch of negates. Well, okay. Path of Peril? Path of Peril. How about a Path of Peril? That would give us a shot. I mean, we still are pretty dead because our opponent's going to have 7 cards and we're going to have a negate. All right. It's a Surveil land, and now we're officially dead. This deck is like next level jag. It is so jag. But can we actually hardluck people in Standard? That's what we're trying to do. To middling success. When it works, it's so funny. Oh, it's so funny. It makes the losses worth it. It is an old school against the odds deck where it's like, yeah, you lose and lose and lose. But then when you win, oh, it's so good. Who even thinks of doing this? Demonic Bargain. Can we actually resolve a Demonic Bargain? Demonic Bargain, I think, is sneakily one of the better cards in our deck. We have not seen it much, though. We're probably taking a land. Exile 13 cards, 3 mana, taking a land. You gotta do what you gotta do, opponent. Urabrosk's Forge. That's kind of an issue, especially since we have 2 negates in hand. Path of Peril, not great against the Forge. We probably got to keep this a Tuara. In part because lands are good, and in part because that is a way we could deal with this Forge. We could bounce it end of turn and then actually get some use out of these negates. It's a 17. Forge goes away. We could run out the Conundrum, but oh boy. It's going to get bad pretty quickly because the Urabras Forge token is just going to be big enough to attack through it. So I think we got to do the Tuara thing. This Forge is going to make us die. So this is like, what, Jeskai control? Yeah, silly control decks. Definitely are tough matchups. Opponent, Forge. So we got to wait till end step because we can't have our opponent replaying the Forge. Bounce the Forge. I mean, this is nice. This is good. We'll see if it's good enough. Probably not, but at least we don't immediately die to the Forge in like 3 turns. Oh, do they have to discard a hand size? Haha. Oh, they discarded an Ojutai. Okay, that's Zergo and Ojutai. I imagine that means they have another one, right? Because why would you discard the first one? Well, we can't let this resolve. Negate the Forge. We got 2. We are all in on keeping this Forge off the battlefield. If they counter, we will counter back instantaneously. All right, no more lies. I guess we counter the no more lies. It's not like we really can do anything with the negates in our graveyard, but might as well. All right, it's a land. It's a little tapped. Slightly tapped, I would say. Opponent. They must have a Zergo and Ojutai, but I think they're maybe afraid to play it while we are leaving up mana. So I guess we just keep leaving up mana. I guess it's also possible they're just like, we have so many cards in hand, I don't even need the Zergo and Ojutai. That seems less likely, but still possible. Ravine, I mean, all our opponents seen from our deck is a bunch of negates, so they're probably thinking we're like Dimir Control, which, yeah, Memory Deluge, which I guess we kind of are, but we're not. We're not the kind of control deck that you would expect for sure. Opponent, 7 cards deep, snags a couple with the Deluge and Mirrex. Helix passes. Well, all right, Living Conundrum, better than doing nothing. It is hexproof. You're not gonna be helixing that opponent, are you? Well, okay, you might dissipate it though. I thought about playing Cavern of Souls in this deck. I don't know, I don't think it's actually worth it, but it could be as like a one of. The thing is, if we run into a control deck, I don't think resolving a Conundrum or an Angel actually changes things. Well, all right, there's a Zergo and Ojutai, and dead. Yeah, control, not a good matchup for this deck, not at all. Yeah, okay. We got the Lust in the Maze and a way to tap our Angel. Oh, mono red. Mono red. Opponent. Well, okay. I feel like, so mono red on one hand, yeah, we just gotta tap this, sadly. Mono red on one hand can just run us over before we get things set up. On the other hand, Angel of Suffering, if we can protect it, is actually like absurd against mono red. And they don't usually have a ton of ways to kill it. They're gonna have some, like because of Shieldred, they'll have some Witch Stalker's Frenzy. They could be playing Lightning Strike, but they don't really play a ton. Yeah, let's just keep on tapping. Opponent. The other thing I thought about this deck, and I haven't figured out how to make it work, but we're playing all these weird tap spells to support the Angel Maze Lock. I was wondering if there's a way we could like sneak Hilda into the deck. Hilda's a cool card. I have never been able to make Hilda work. Anytime I try to build around Hilda, it goes so poorly. But we are playing a lot of cards that work with Hilda. All right, opponent's gonna play with Fire Face. We will take it down to 12. We could spend our negate. I think we'd rather Lost in the Maze. Shock. Okay. Down to 10. So they flip their Saga. So we can Lost in the Maze to tap down their two untapped creatures. This also could eventually help us protect the Angel. We're kind of running out of time, though. We are kind of running out of time. Like, if this is going to work, it's going to need to work pretty soon. All right, faces. Yeah, down to 9. Path of... Do we even cast it? I mean, their stuff's all tapped. It doesn't even do it. But what else are we doing? Nothing? We're just passing? Play with fire. This one we might actually just counter. We really just need land number 5. If we can find land number 5... and also a Conundrum, the lock could work. So he takes 0 this turn. Well, there's a land. Opponent was just empty-handed, right? I think we got to do it. Angel of Suffering, please tell me that the card you drew is not like a way to kill the Angel. If the Angel dies, I think we die too. If you die with Angel of Suffering, you die in real life. Well, yeah. No, and a monstrous rage. So much damage. So much death. Well, that's fair. We're trying to lock him out of the game, so good on you, opponent. Angel of Suffering, Living Conundrum, Prison Time. And this hand's got all the combo pieces. And even got a negate to protect the Angel and a tutor. Oh. Can we get... Alright, so we got smacked by Mono Red a minute ago. Can we get our revenge on Mono Red? Maybe. Let's hope. We are going to need some manas to get to our 5 drops before we die. You know what? I think we're just going to negate that. Aggressive use of negate, but the challenge right now is staying alive long enough to actually get our pieces online. Ew, in a monstrous range. All right. Well, we're getting smacked for 6 here by the Schwiftspiel. We draw land, which is nice. Well, let's demonic bargain. Exile 13. What are we looking for? We do need a mana. Oh, it feels so bad to tutor for a land. We could take the Lost in the Maze. Path of Peril is always fine against mono red. Yeah, let's take the Path. I think that's the thing to do. Like, we should draw land eventually, right? We have 1 in hand. We need 1 more to start playing our combo pieces. Festival Crasher. And shocks our face. Sure. Bona hits us to 8. Why are people playing shocks? Is shock even legal? I mean, it probably is legal. What's that with shock from, though? And why are they face down? Ooh, okay, this is going to be a good Path of Peril. So I think we play the Maze, tap down the 2 potential attackers, and now we can Wrath with Path. Opponent's down to 1 card in hand. We shouldn't die this turn, right? And then that means hopefully we can Angel. We're going to probably have a 1-turn window. Oh, let's play the Conundrum. Well, yeah, let's play the Angel. It is risky that we could die from 8. Like burn spell. We could just die. Angel makes sure we don't die. If we can have it live 1 turn. 1 turn is all we need. We can... Oh, all right. Well, now we need another Angel. One turn is all we need, and we can give it hexproof forever. And mono red will not beat that. Like, that is an actual hard lock. Like, guaranteed win against mono red. Opponent. All right. Another saga. Kimono faces Kazakhstan. Well, do we start cycling? I think so. We need to find an angel. Or Technuma would be good. Well, let's stay on defense. Opponent. Level 2 of the saga. Land. Passes. Well, we will also land and pass. At least Living Conundrum's a decent blocker. Even before it pops off, it's going to stop a lot of little mono red creatures. All right, Feldon. Now, let's just block the etchings. I guess they could have Monstrous Rage. Wow. Dreadmaw Ire, but on the Feldon. Well, now we're going to tap down the Feldon. Can we find an angel? Please, magic gods. Okay. Well, there's a negate. So if we find the angel, we can protect the angel for a turn. We just got to find it, land, go. Still not going to attack. I'm worried about a haste creature. That's the reason not to attack. We don't have any instant speed removal at the moment, and we don't have angel for protection. We do have enough mana to do everything if we can find it. Land, go. Oh, the Battle of the Flooding. Opponent. So our opponent could be storing up burn spells. Thankfully, we have drawn 2 negates. Insta-pass. Ooh, there it is. There it is. Play the angel. Oh, come on. What are you holding, opponent? What are you holding? Play with fire. Down to 1. Sure. 1's not dead. 1 is not dead. That is fine. Do they have another one? All right. Well, this one we have to counter. If they have a third one, then I guess we're just out of luck. So we have the angel. We have a negate. We're very close. Feldon. Sure. So now we actually full on hard lock. I swear to God, no one reads our cards. Serious. We're playing weird cards that no one plays, but unless I miss it, maybe it's great Tamilla's and I'm missing something about it. We are going to very quickly here get in with the angel for 5 and then do a little subjugation on our angel. So now it doesn't untap. Our combo is fully hexproof. I don't believe there's a way we can lose this game. I'm pretty sure we have just fully locked our opponent. You can see our opponent hovering on our cards. Now they're reading. They're realizing that they are done. There's no coming back. Mountain. Gets in. Sure, thank you. Mill us into a 10-10 opponent. Please, friend. Please. We won't even kill your Feldon, I promise. Well, now we might as well start getting in with this Conundrum. It's a slow clock, but it'll get there eventually. Opponent. Oh, was that some damage? Oh no, we're at 1. It's a faces. Ha ha. Ha ha. Mill us into a lethal conundrum. Hey, that's another conundrum. Well, let's fire up this Restless Reef. Go to combat, attack. We're gonna mill ourselves. This is gonna turn on the conundrum, and that looks like lethal, and that's how you can fully hard lock in standard. It is possible. It is janky as all get out, but you can do it. We proved it. Can we hard lock opponents out of ever killing us with Angel of Suffering, Lost in the Maze of all things, and a Living Conundrum? Oh, Spygrass Siren. I feel like I never beat blue decks with this deck. When I see blue, I just recoil in horror. Maybe this is the time. Oh my god, Bunnycorn. Okay, this might actually be good. If this is a Bunnycorn deck rather than a more mid-rangey deck, we do have the Angel. We do have an Angel. And we can tap down the bunny, or yeah, let it attack and then tap it down next turn. Okay. Opponent. Oh, that's a lot of damage. We are at 9 already. I think we need to do a little tapping. Subjugate the map. So now we're only taking 1. Surveil land. Probably got to keep a go for the throw. We can run out the Angel. Another Siren. We can run out the Angel if we need to. We wouldn't mind, waiting and getting a little more mana. We'll have to see. Opponent gonna crack the map. Spellbook Vendor. Sure, don't really care. Gets in, hits us. and clay-fired bricks. Oh, they're going to shuffle away the spellbook vendor anyway. Opponent gets a plains. Do we have to do it? I think we have to do it. All right, here's the angel. Eventually, they can sack the tapped map to the clay-fired bricks or exile it to discover, but that's still a couple mana off. Opponent hits us. I mean, we are not going to block. It might be tempting, but a Ganjo is a thing, and we really need this angel to live. We're actually like a conundrum and a couple of turns away from locking it in. Let's get in there. If our opponent has removal, we can flash in the maze. All right, there's a Ganjo. Well, we got a plan. I guess we might as well tap down our opponent's stuff for a turn. So Angel gets hexproof. Lost in the Maze is actually like, I don't know if I'd say it's good, but it's kind of better than I expected. I expected it to be really bad. Boy, we just need the Conundrum because we have the Bitter Chill, so we can tap down the Angel forever. Get in, hit ya. I mean, we're gonna have to kill the Bunny Corn, I think. If we can just find the Conundrum, we can pretty much just lock this in. Unless our opponent's Bunny Corn deck is playing Sweepers, which would be wild. Come on, Living Conundrum. That is all we need. Opponent, Warden of the Inner Sky. Yep. Scries to the bottom. Hits us. Mills 4. No Conundrums. Well, there's a Risen Reef. I mean, I guess we can also just try to race. There's some weird games where our opponent just like can't answer the angel. They attack us and mill a bunch of cards, but we just kind of win by beating down with the angel because our opponent can't stop it. At some point, I mean, probably this turn, they're going to be able to stop it. Worst case, they can leave back jump blockers. They can also probably grow this Warden big enough to just fully stonewall the angel. So I don't think we can actually win with angel attacks unless our opponent just keeps swinging all out for no reason. Almost every single person does that against angel. It's so weird to me. I mean, I guess in this case, at least, our opponent has not seen Living Conundrum. So they don't know about the Living Conundrum plan. A lot of opponents will have Angel and Living Conundrum and they still just swing out and then just die. Passing, staying on defense. Wait, do we just win? We could also try to get Living Conundrum. Like we could Bitter Chill the flyer, fire up the creature land. I think we're gonna look for a Conundrum. The lock is too juicy to set up. Plus there are ways it goes wrong. Our opponent could have a removal spell or something. Well, we're going to take our Living Conundrum. We're going to play our Living Conundrum. Well, this is it, opponent. This is the last window. If you don't kill the angel this turn, actually, yeah, let's get in. So I think the window may have closed. So our angel's hexproof now. Our opponent's going to have to kill the angel on our pre-combat main phase before this Bitter Chill resolves, which is kind of a big ask. Opponent's gonna go to 1. All right, now you see the full combo, opponent. Now you know what we're doing. You know exactly what we're up to. Please stop attacking us. Please, someone just read our cards. Just read. Start at the top, read the whole thing. Think about it for like 5 seconds. So many opponents just attack and die. Opponent. Gonna tap to grow the Warden. They're probably gonna be tempted to attack with the Warden since it has vigilance, but you're helping us. Oh my god. Oh no, opponent. What do you think is gonna happen? You're at 1. You can't. Okay, opponent. No. Oh, don't do it. You're asking to die, opponent. You're asking for it. Okay. Whew. Well, opponent realized that if they swing out, they die. They mill us for a bunch more cards, which is good because we have Living Conundrum. We draw an Atwara. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna tap that angel. It looks so goofy. Why would you want to play this on your own creature? But now our angel's gonna be tapped forever, which means it's hexproof forever. Which means, oh, wow. Wow. Okay, we're still good though. We're still good. Can we draw a card? 1, 2, 3. We can draw a card. Wow, they actually drew the answer. I guess we'll keep the Path of Peril. Thankfully, we can replay the angel. This does mean it's not fully locked in though. It's not hexproof. So our opponent has 1 turn to draw in. Oh, it's a land. Well, they can flip their clay-fired bricks and discover off the map with a glyph on it. So this is it. Our opponent needs to hit a removal spell for the angel off of this glyph. Clay-fired brick, sacks it, exiles to the graveyard. Oh, glass casket. They hit removal, but thankfully our janky angel is too expensive for the glass casket. All right, well, that's going to mill the rest of our deck. That's going to turn the Conundrum into a 10-10. I think we actually needed this Path to Peril. Actually, the Tuara is very good too. But our opponent actually has enough flyers that they could have tried to block. But Path to Peril, wipe them all out. Deck's empty. Here comes the dorks. And that's how you win with Living Conundrum. Oh, the jank. It is Living Conundrum Prison time. Angel of Suffering Hardlock in Standard. And, I mean, we got the combo. We don't have a way to protect the Angel, but we got both combo pieces and a little bit of removal, so looks like a decent hand. Opponent. We're going to play a Surveil land. We're going to keep the land. Unfortunately, all of our payoffs are 1,000,000 mana, probably better known as 5 opponent planes and Novice Inspector. Well, we're going to keep on sewering. Do we even want the cut downs? Our opponent, most likely Boros. They could be other things. I think we keep it. It's always tough against Boros. So if this is Boros, all right, so it is Boros. They go so wide that I don't even know if cut down's that good. It's like, there are times when it's helpful, and keeping bodies off the battlefield does keep them from convoking or whatever, but they go so wide that killing one thing usually is not super relevant. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should have milled. Maybe we should have milled the cut down. If we end up missing land drops as a result of keeping cut down, we're going to be a little disappointed. All right, opponent. Opponent passes. We draw the cut down. Well, play the land. Pass. I don't think we're going to kill anything yet. Opponents. There's a Gleeful Demolition. Sure. I mean, that's a lot of 1/1s. Could use a Path to Peril. Path to Peril would be very helpful here. Iron Crag. See, this is what I was talking about. Like, our opponent has plenty of targets for cut down. They just all like, is it even worth a card to remove a 1/2 from the battlefield? It doesn't feel like you gotta do what you gotta do, but it doesn't really feel like it. Opponent, land on human. This might be one of those games where we just have to fire off an Angel and hope our opponent does not have removal. Okay, Night Errant Aveo is actually kind of good for us. That saves us some immediate damage. It does mean our opponent's drawing cards, but those cards are not going to answer the Angel. Whew, Immodane's Recruiter. I guess we're probably playing an Angel of Suffering. Well, okay. More removal. Well, run out the Angel. Can it live? Will it live? Please, please, please. I mean, we have to run it out, though, because our opponent just has uber lethal if we don't. We do have the Conundrum in hand, so our opponent, they probably are thinking, oh, sure, Angel, whatever. Like, well, we'll see. Maybe they can kill it. We are going to get a lot of cards milled, but we do have Living Conundrum in hand. So all this is kind of okay, down to 27 cards. I'm surprised they didn't Recruiter. Ah, that makes sense. War Leader's Call. Well, Living Conundrum. Hope it lives. Play the land. And a pretty safe attack. Plus, getting it for 5 years is kind of huge. That means an Angel plus full-powered Conundrum is lethal in the future. All right, opponent, you see what we're doing. We have an Angel, we have a Living Conundrum. Build your an Epic here. So what this means, opponent, is you should not damage us enough that we lose all of our cards, because then you die. Immodane's Recruiter. Sure. Read the cards. Read the cards, opponents. Read them. Oh, opponent mills our deck. Oh no, whatever will we do? Our Conundrum's a 10-10. We attack, and I swear so many opponents do it to themselves. I guess that's a reward for playing these janky cards that no one else will play. Opponents just don't know how to play against them. If they stopped attacking and waited for removal, they win, but instead, we win. So what do we learn this week about Suffering Conundrum Prison in Standard? And the deck, it's not super competitive. I mean, obviously, we're built around 2 really janky 5-drops, and then our other key combo piece is Lost in the Maze, which I've never seen anyone else play. So we're playing a lot of really janky cards in this one. Overall, about 1 in every 3 games, we'll assemble the Hardlock and get our opponent, and it's absolutely hilarious. The other 2 out of 3 games, we either run into Control, which is just a horrible horrible, horrible matchup for this deck because they just like Wrather board and they don't really care about winning with damage anyway. Eventually, they're gonna like just gain control of the game and take it over. Or we get run over against aggro. Against aggro, it's really hit or miss. Like sometimes we stick the Angel of Suffering and do the thing and it's hilarious. Other times we play the Angel of Suffering and they have a Lightning Strike or something or a Lightning Helix and it just all falls apart immediately. So it's a really hit or miss matchup. So all this to say, it's not a good deck. You're not going to rank up with this deck quickly or probably at all, I would say, but it is actually super hilarious when it works. And by far my favorite part of this deck is how many opponents, and this was like not just one or two, but like many of our opponents, I don't know if they just weren't reading our cards or what, but we'd get the lock set up and they would literally just kill themselves. They would like, it was mind blowing to me, but they would like drop their bushwhackers and pump their creatures and try to get in as much damage as possible. Why we had Lindvin Conundrum and Angel of Suffering on the battlefield, I don't know if they thought they were going to like mill us out or they just didn't understand what we were doing, but so many of our opponents would like fire up their board, get in this huge attack, and we just take it, and then our Living Conundrums become 10/10s and we just kill them in one turn on the backswing. So it was really hilarious when it worked. Unfortunately, it works about 33% of the time, roughly. So anyway, that is Suffering Conundrum Prison. That is hard locking opponents out of winning with damage in Standard. Super janky, but also just amazing when it works. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.